العالمين. الحمد لله رب السماوات ورب الأرض رب العالمين، وله الكبرياء في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. ربنا لك الحمد حتى ترضى، ولك الحمد إذا رضيت، ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. صل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله أمين على وحيه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise and glory and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything we have. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. And we are dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all our needs. يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد. These two feelings, if they are always present in your mind, that will always help you maintaining strong relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On one hand, being grateful and appreciating and remembering how much Allah has given you. On the other hand, remember how dependent you are on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One will push you to be grateful and thankful, and one will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying and making supplication and dua. 2 weeks ago we have said that we are actually drowning in blessings. غارقين في نعمة الله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us so much that we should never belittle or underestimate, and we should never take it for granted. We should always remember the great favors and bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected us, protected each one of us from many things that we know that probably other people were tested with, and from many things that we don't know that Allah has protected us against. So we have to be very grateful and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and look for ways to express that gratitude and that thankfulness in words and in deeds. And that's some very effective way that bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that means that in words, to be sincere words thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in deeds by sharing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you and by using it in the way that pleases Him. Always remember that everything you have, including your health, your body, your money, your time, all of these are trusts, are amana that Allah has given you, and you need to manage it the way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that also increase your love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because al-insan abdul ahsan. We love those who do us favors. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. The more you remember the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you love Him. And that's how we can raise our children to love Allah, when we make it clear for them from the beginning, from early childhood, that anything good that is happening, it's from Allah. So they grow up loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they will link Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to everything good that is happening in their lives. Unfortunately, some parents, they do exactly the opposite. The only time the child hears about Allah is punishment and hellfire. So that's something that has to be fixed and corrected. Even when you go back safe, all members of the family go back safe at night, that's a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't take anything for granted just because it is happening all the time, or because you had it for a long time. You wake up alive and healthy, that's a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you start your day with gratitude and thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was one of the dhikr that was recommended, is to start immediately wake up. You thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave you another day and more opportunities to fix your record and to be better prepared to meet Him. Even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes something away from you, you need to remember that's a test. And at the end of the day, Allah has given you something and He took it. So you have to be patient and you have to be thankful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left for you. The great Tabi' Urwa ibn Zubayr radiallahu anhu, they cut his leg and he lost his child on the same day. And he made very impressive, very profound statement when he said that he thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what he kept, and he thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the rest of the children that he kept. And he said, in ibtala fatalama afa wa in akhada fatalama a'ta. If Allah tests me with this, He protected me so much from other things. And if He takes something away, then also He gave me, and He gave me so much. Now, does this mean that you should not be ambitious? No, you should. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be all you can be. Remember, an essential element in our deen is for you to develop yourself to be all you can be and leverage all the potential that Allah has given you. Allah wants you to see you someone who is in a very good health, very good shape financially, strong, rich, etc. and reach the highest level of achievement in anything that you are doing, whether it is in school or at work or any of your roles. Very ambitious, and you work very hard and smart, but you accept the outcome, the content, the qana'ah. And these are not contradictory. You can be very ambitious, you can be someone who works very hard, but also at the same time, you can be someone who is pleased with what he got at the end of the day. And remember that a lot of time you may like something and it's not good for you. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا ويجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا. So you may want something badly and you may be sad that you didn't get it, but it's not good for you. Always remember that if Allah did not give it to you, then it's not good for you. And be pleased with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. And remember, you can succeed in all tests of life with only two things, two tools that Allah has given us, very powerful: sabr and shukr, patience and gratitude. You meet adversity with patience and you meet the bounties with gratitude. You do that, you are always a winner, as the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Because when you take this life and the hereafter, the full picture, then you are always a winner. You meet adversity and difficulties with patience, and you meet favors and bounties with more gratitude. A lot of people, unfortunately, fail in one or the other of these tests. Some people, they fail when they are tested with adversity. They're not patient, they complain. And sometimes other people fail when they are tested with bounties, they're not grateful. So keep this in mind and remember that as long as you're doing that, then the other path that will lead you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in addition to remembering the great bounties of Allah and favors, is ibadat al-tafakkur, to contemplate and reflect on the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It really can help strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises those who do this. He called them muttaqin alladhina yatafakkaruna alladhina yadhkuruna Allah qiyaman wa qu'udan wa ala junubihim wa yatafakkaruna fi khalqis samawati wal ard. So people they remember Allah in all situations, and also they contemplate and reflect on the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I always recommend that you don't have to be scientist. You don't have to be expert to learn the basics about the human body, different organs, how they function, and about this universe. These are some of the things that can really make you appreciate the greatness of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just the human cell itself. Go and look for the human cell itself under the microscope. You think that this is like a city. It's so many pieces and so much work, and if you read about it, so many functions are performed within that thing that we cannot even see. So that makes you again say, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ, the rest of the verse. And also if you read about the different organs, the kidney, what does it do? Liver. And look at those when they have kidney failure, how their life is changed completely. How difficult their life becomes because of that small organ, how many functions it was doing without even noticing. And then the same thing for the universe. Even when you admire and appreciate something that was achieved by a human being, remember that Allah created that human being. And that's what I do all the time. Every time I get impressed by an achievement that human has done, I always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created that human who achieved this. You look like those skylines, for example. It's very impressive, the architectures, etc. But then you remember that, yes, that's very impressive, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the person or the people who made that happen. So look for every opportunity, one, to be thankful, and two, to appreciate the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two very practical and simple ways to strengthen our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Last time we talked about the fact that Islam transforms individuals, the true Islam transforms individuals and turns them into agents of change in their respective environment, and bring them into a community of believers that will affect change in the society and in the world at large. That's the true Islam. If this is not happening, then we have to revisit and question our understanding and our commitment of Islam, because that's the product. The product is individuals who are role models and difference makers, and community that is a model community and also leading community. كذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس. Your role among people should be like the role of the Prophet amongst you. It's a role model and leading individuals, and also role model and leading community. That's with the proper understanding and with the full commitment. Why? Because simply Islam gives you a life mission. Islam gives you a great and inspiring mission with the great and noble goals, maqasid, the ultimate purposes of this deen. So suddenly you start living a life that is much bigger than your own. You're living for carrying a great and noble mission and trying to achieve great and noble goals. On top of those goals comes justice prevailing on earth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the honor and the responsibility to make that happen. And all successful people, as we mentioned before, all successful people and nations had a cause or a dream that they strived to make it happen. And with this, if you embrace Islam as a life mission, you immediately realize that there is so much to learn and there is so much to do. It's not true that you already know your religion and you know everything that you need to know. That's a trick of shaitan that you should never be fooled with. Until the last minute of our lives, we are learning. And then we end up with the limited knowledge. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. So you should never allow yourself to have that impression that I already know everything I need to know about my deen, and I know I already know everything I need to know about life. That's not true. And you should be very thirsty for knowledge. That's one main characteristic of the believer, as Rasul ﷺ describes, al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min. Wisdom is the lost property of a believer. You know, when you lose something, how you will be looking, always thinking about it and looking for it everywhere and calling, try to find it. Al-hikmah, wisdom and knowledge should be like this for you. You are always on the look for new, useful knowledge. And alhamdulillah, nowadays, knowledge is so available and so accessible, except that people have to be careful, because now we went to the other extreme. There's so much knowledge and information there, and unless you know and you are selective, you can end up wasting your time surfing the net and social networks without getting anything out of it. So much to learn, so much to do. That's what makes you motivated, and that explained the transformation that the companions went through. Now, how Islam does this? What happens? What makes the Sahaba very different person after they embraced Islam? In addition to having that life mission, Islam mobilizes and activates all the engines of the human being. We are motivated by number of engines or number of factors. Islam actually activates all of them. One, people are driven by religion. And Islam gives you a divine mission, religious, so that become active. You are motivated by your religion. Why? Because this mission that you are trying to fulfill, it's a divine. You're doing it to seek the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, the religious component will be active and really will be activated. The other thing that motivates people is what? What caused them even ready to die is patriotism. They love their country. They love their country to be the prosperous and to be in the best possible shape. And Islam mobilizes this. Why? Because Islam assigned us the job of a'mar, to develop earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us responsible. So development, making your country a better place, is an essential component of the mission of Islah. That's what Islah is all about, is making things better. So that component also will be activated. Why? Because, again, it's part of your mission to make this world a better place. And in particular, wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala settles. الذين إن مكناهم في الأرض أقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأمروا بالمعروف ونهوا عن المنكر. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes believers wherever they settle. They establish prayer and pay zakat, and then they promote everything that is good. They make that place a better place for everybody. So even, again, that component is activated. People are activated by personal ambition. People, all of us want to be the best and want our children to be the best, so that personal ambition also, Islam makes it, link it to religion. Why? Because remember, I keep saying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be all you can be. So when you are working to succeed, you are also seeking the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you are serving your country, you are seeking the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you're observing your religious duty, you are seeking the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that personal ambition also becomes not selfish. It becomes something that you do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and then finally, people are driven by compassion. When you see those doctors and people who volunteer and they go to places that are very difficult, that's they're driven by compassion. And Islam emphasizes compassion beyond imagination. So many verses are talking about helping those who are in need and sharing the orphan, the poor, the needy, etc. So many. Rarely a verse or page or a few pages of the Quran where you cannot find something like this, something that emphasizes compassion. And remember that the Prophet ﷺ was sent only as mercy to humanity. مَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رحمة للعالمين وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. Followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam should also try to be blessing. So that's also that compassion. Some people, they do it sincerely. Some people, they do it for show off. Muslims will be doing it as part of their religious duties. So what Islam does, mobilizes everything, every driving force in you, and then converge all of them toward one goal. And that's the only way you can explain that transformation that happened in those companions. They used to be very average people, living very empty life before Islam, and suddenly they become people who have so big mission and goals, and they become leaders, not at the local or even regional level, at the international level. People who led and championed great civilization and changed the world in one generation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this deen fires up all these four engines. You study very hard, part of your religious duty. You work on your health, part of your religious duty. Everything you do, and that's how Islam turns life into an act of worship. So that even the things that you do routinely, they become act of worship. Why? Because you're doing them for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You spend quality time with your family, that's part of your religious duty. You work out, that's part of your religious duty. You take good care of your diet and your eating habits, that's part of your religious duties. You study so hard, you want to reach the highest level in your study or in your profession, the greatest promotion, you do it also as part of your religious duties. And the Quran put this in a very nice way. ضرب الله مثلا رجلا فيه شركاء متشاكسون ورجلا سلما لرجل هل يستويان. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Quran uses this example of one person serving one master. So all your goals are converging in one direction. And one person serving masters that are at odds, fighting each other in dispute. Can these be equal? So Islam comes, fires up all your energy and dig out all your energy and then converge it in one direction. And that's the magic of this deen, this great, inspiring and empowering deen that unfortunately was lost over the century, and we ended up only with some bits and pieces, things that are very superficial, and that's why it is no longer inspiring or motivating or empowering, and that's why it does not transform individuals and it does not transform nations, even though, as I said last time, in the last few decades, so many people in the Muslim world became practicing. Mosques became full, but the situation did not change in any form or shape. And that's what explains it. Because we inherited a very superficial version of Islam that has some rituals, some do's and don'ts, without that sense of mission, without those noble goals, and that's why it is not producing the desired effect. But it's never too late. And I'm gonna keep emphasizing that we have no other option other than rediscovering, putting the effort to rediscover the true and original Islam, that very inspiring and empowering great religion. It's very doable if there is a will. If we are sincere and serious, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised those who strive will help them and guide their steps. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who try, those who strive in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will guide their steps. وَتُوبُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. My dear respected brother and sister in Islam, as you can notice that this is not happening. People nowadays, unfortunately, Muslims are not among the most ambitious people on earth. They are not among the people the achievers on earth. Even when it comes to compassion, we are not really doing better job. We're not doing as much as we can and as much as we are supposed to do when it comes to helping those who are in need. And even when it comes to our religious duties, we have shortened the list. Like someone writes his own job description, that's what we did. Rather than trying to find out what are the expectations, what is our mission on earth, and fulfill it to the best of our ability, we came up with something that is very convenient. So a couple of things to do, a couple of things to avoid, and thinking that's all, that's Islam, and we don't need to learn more, we don't need to do more, and that's what explains why Muslims are not motivated to learn, and they are not motivated to grow and to improve. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا توفنا وانت راض عنا واختم بالصالحات اعمالنا واجعل خير اعمالنا خواتمها وخير ايامنا يوم نلقاك ومتعنا اللهم بالنظر الى وجهك الكريم. ربنا ارحم والدينا كما ربونا صغارا وارحم موتانا وجميع موتى المسلمين. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا الا غفرته ولا هما الا فرجته ولا حاجة هي لك رضا الا قضيتها. لا اله الا انت سبحانك انا كنا من الظالمين. صلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد. باقم الصلاة.